Okay, y'all. So when you click on the PhET Lab, you want to go to the Energy tab. So that's the one you're going to be in. It should look like this. So if you look at the Word document, what it's asking for, it wants you to sketch and compare the distributions for kinetic energy and speed for two different temperatures. So you can see right here, you have T1 and T2. So what we're gonna do, y'all are gonna go back to the simulation. And so when you open this up, it'll have match container or set 2. You want it to be at set 2, and we're just gonna leave it at 300 Kelvin, okay? So looking at the graph, you're gonna write 300 Kelvin here because that's your T1, okay? So what you're gonna do, we're only going to do the heavy particles first. So this column is only heavy particles. So that's the blue particles. Light particles are the red dots, and then heavy and light is both of them. Okay, so what you're going to do here, you're going to choose the number of heavy particles. It needs to be between 100 and 200. So I'm just going to do 100. Okay, my temperature is set at 300 Kelvin, and I'm going to hit play. All right. So now I'm going to go over here and look at both of my graphs. So in the first box, so this box right here, it wants the kinetic energy distribution sketch for T1. So our T1 was 300, so it's still set there. So you're going to kind of sketch the average of this graph right here, okay, in that box. And the box underneath it, you're going to sketch this graph. All right, so just the average, just kind of what it looks like. It can look like a line. You can make a little thing like that. It's up to you as long as I can just kind of tell what you're doing. So then I'm going to stop this and reset everything. So now the bottom boxes want kinetic energy distribution sketch for T2 and speed. So what you're going to do, you're going to go back. You're going to change your temperature. So I would say make sure it's significantly more or significantly less than the first temperature. I'm gonna go to 600 just because that's double. And I'm gonna use the same number of particles because it still has to be the same number. So it was 100 that I used. Make sure my graphs are up and I'm gonna hit play. Okay, so as you can see, the graphs have changed. So you're gonna do the same thing. You're just gonna do a little sketch of what the graphs look like, okay? So now let's reset this again. So now you're gonna do the same thing for the light particles. So those are the red particles. You're gonna do the same thing. So this time I'm gonna do this one at 100 because I like to be consistent, and put my T1 back to 300 because you have to use the same temperature for both of them. So you get an accurate comparison. So I'm gonna uncheck this blue box because we're not looking at heavy particles anymore. We're looking at light particles. Now I'm gonna do the same thing after you sketch your graphs for the first temperature, change it to the second temperature you've already decided, and do the same thing. And then you'll do the same thing for the mixed particles. So when you do the mixed particles, you would just add both of them like that. And you would do it for both temperatures. Okay, so it's gonna look something like this. Okay, so that's it for what you're doing here. And then the questions are pretty straightforward. It wants you to compare everything. And then the fourth question is asking you to summarize. All right, so that's about it. If you have any more questions, just email me. I'll try to respond within an hour.